Welcome back to Show and Tell. I'm Billie. I'm coming to you from Manhattan. It's been a rather busy week for me, culturally speaking, so I don't have a lot of knitting to show you. Let me show you the knitting first, and then I'm going to take you with me to a couple of places in New York that you may not have been to. So indulge me one moment. So you know I've been working on this 1930s sweater called Knit It for Skiing. The last time you saw it, I don't think I had even started the front. So the back is done, and there's a slit in the back where they had you do a garter stitch edge and a little bit of a flap. This garter stitch edge will overlap that one because you cast on some extra stitches there to make a placket. So the back is just done with only the marled black and white. And then the front has these white bands. The collar was supposed to be the marled yarn, but I am punctuating this black and white with pops of red. There are red and white buttons, which you'll have to wait until the garment is completely finished to see. But they're these little barrel buttons that were knit, hand knit, that will go at the ends of each of these. And then the sleeves, I'm finished one sleeve. I'm not going to bother to show it to you today, but the sleeves also have these white bars and the buttons on them. I guess what I could say is the collar was done in a reverse stockinette. It's strange because I think the other side is more attractive, but since this makes a very different shape collar, I thought I would stick with it. Also, keeping with my sock monkey concept, I thought this kind of maybe looks like lips of the monkey, that they're more rounded. So I am going to stay with that. And really, that's all I have to show you. It's knit on a size 6 needle, so it does knit up pretty quickly. I don't know if I'll be finished the next time I see you, probably not, but I'll be a good part of the way into the second sleeve. I did start to stitch it up, which I think is a no-no. I probably should have blocked the pieces separately, but I was so impatient, and I really do want to make sure that it fits me. So I could have basted it, but I don't know. I was a naughty girl. I decided to start doing the mattress stitch. So I'm halfway to the underarm. I don't know if you can see, but this sweater has sort of like, it's not going to be a peplum. I think this will be figure hugging, but there is a band at the waist that's done in ribbing, so it should cinch in at my waist. You might remember me talking about how the ribbing in the back was popping out concave. So I tried to get it to behave differently on this side. I forget what I did already. Yeah, I skipped, I don't know if this was going to be visible, probably not. But when I transitioned from stockinette to ribbing, I did a row where I slipped every other stitch. And I did the same thing when I transitioned back to the stockinette. I think that helped it lie down a little bit flatter. Perhaps when I block it, it'll be even better, but not sure yet. Anyway, this is a story to be continued. Interestingly, this kind of has that marled look in it. Yeah, right in here. I think here I was marling gray and black. Anyway, This is an old Corrado lark pattern. I forget the name of it. Oh, that's called marledish, like marled, but ish. So I'll leave a link in the show notes to where you can find this on Ravelry. For those who are interested, you know, I always accessorize. This is a black lucite and Swarovski crystal brooch from Italy, and these are also Italian with Swarovski crystals, different company, but I used to import this jewelry. Which brings me to another point I've forgotten to tell you, although it did just happen very recently. A woman named Dr. Yolanda Sanders interviewed me for her podcast, which is called Innovation Insights. And I'll leave a link in the show notes if you want to go and take a look at that. I'd love to know what you think, because there might be some things in there about me that you don't know. And always I'm open to your questions. So if you do want to know more about my previous life before I became a podcaster, feel free to ask me at any time. Okay, so now I'm going to move along to my cultural adventures. The first one was an evening at the Metropolitan Opera House with Harry Connick Jr. singing Cole Porter. Cole Porter is my all-time absolute favorite composer from the Great American Songbook. Actually, songwriter of all time. I mean, I do love some Motown artists. I love Smokey Robinson. I love Stevie Wonder and others. I love the Beach Boys too, Brian Wilson. But there's something about Cole Porter, and I suspect his Yale education. He was very erudite and very urbane, and his lyrics appeal to me a great deal because they're so clever and involve a great knowledge of mythology and history and geography and, you know, very worldly, cosmopolitan kind of experience that he brings to his lyrics. So when I heard that Harry Connick Jr. was going to be doing this, I would have been all in anyway. But the fact that it was at the Opera House made it really like a couple of notches up for me. It's such a magical, treasured place for New York City. And I like the opera. I don't go as often as I might like, but just to be in the Opera House is always a thrill. And you'll see, I did a little video where you can see the chandeliers rise up. That's like the coolest thing of all to me. I call them snowflake chandeliers because that's what I grew up hearing, but I think it's more common to refer to them as the Sputnik chandeliers because this Metropolitan Opera House at Lincoln Center was built in the 60s when we were very involved in the space program. So I think people felt there might have been some influence in that. Anyway, I couldn't take footage. Of course, I couldn't film during the performance, but I do have a couple of still shots and a couple of other little things inside, outside the building, the famous fountains outside. But that's not all that I did in the last week. There's an exhibit at the Museum of the City of New York. Now, for those of you who are not in New York, who may come to New York to visit, it's usually not on the top hits list because people go to the Statue of Liberty, they go to the Empire State Building, they go to the more popular tourist attractions. This is not one. This is like if you've been to New York a handful of times and you're looking for things that are a little off the beaten path. It's a marvelous museum. I mean, it really, really is, because it delves into the history of New York, but it's presented in a really modern way. It's not stuffy and stodgy. It's really quite a contemporary museum, even though New York does have a 400-year history. So it's the kind of place, because I live in New York, I don't feel like I have to go and visit the whole museum every time I'm there. Now I pick out a specific couple of things that I want to see, so it's not overwhelming for me. So you know that I'm an Art Deco aficionado, and currently there's an exhibit of Leonard Lauder's Art Deco postcards. Now they made this exhibit into more like a broad thing, Art Deco New York, so that they could include some other artifacts that they own, like models of the two most famous buildings in Rockefeller Center. What used to be called the RCA building, which you may know is 30 Rockefeller Plaza, and also the building that encompasses Radio City Music Hall, where the Rockettes perform. So there are these two large scale models, and there's some film footage of some interesting things that took place around New York. The postcards are really incredible. I filmed quite a few of them for you because just showing one or two wouldn't really give you the full effect. So there's that. Beyond that, they just reinstalled the Stettheimer Doll House. There were three sisters who were very avid artists, art collectors, and one of them used to hold a salon for other art lovers to come together, and some artists were in that group. So some famous artists gave her little artworks to put into this dollhouse that she was creating. The dollhouse has been a part of this museum going way back, I think, to the 1940s. I had seen it a long, long time ago. I forget how it was installed, but they just removed it, refurbished it, cleaned it, and reinstalled it into a room of its own where you can actually walk around the perimeter of the whole thing. The front of the dollhouse they removed and they put separately so that you're really able to see into all the windows and the doorways. And I took quite a bit of footage of that for you to see. And then beyond that, there was a room with all of this film montage of movies that have been made in New York. Now, as a New Yorker, when I go to the movies, if I know it's a movie that's filmed in New York, and you probably do this too if you live in a city where they have filmed movies like Philadelphia, the Rocky movies, but you know, a movie like, what is it, Pelham 1, 2, 3, or, oh, I mean, there's so many, Midnight Cowboy, there's so many. West Side Story, of course, very famous one. But when I go to a movie, I try and look for the restaurants or the streets that they're on, and I try and see, like, can I figure out where they were? In one recent movie that I was watching, actually, I think it was One Fine Day with George Clooney and Michelle Pfeiffer. I thought that I saw the intersection of 23rd and Park Avenue South, and I went to Google Maps and I did a street view, and yes, it was that corner, but they like dummied it up. They put a whole mess of people there. They made it a one-way street, which it's not, it goes both ways. And I knew it was that corner because there's a subway entrance there, and there's a little like awning that goes around, and I thought, you know, I recognize that corner because it's not too far from where I live. I'm not there that often, but I've lived here long enough to sort of be able to identify. There's a Bath and Body Shop, a big one on the corner. Anyway, it's little things like that that, you know, I'm looking out for when I'm looking at a movie. I have this like critical eye. Do I know the place? It's just, it gives me like a jolly to be able to say like, oh, I know that restaurant. I've eaten there, or you know, something like that. So I hope that you'll keep watching through to the end. There's a lot of stuff that might interest you, and let me know. I know it's not so knitting related, so don't beat me up over that, but if you love it, let me know. If you don't love it, feel free to let me know too. You know, don't just give me a thumbs down. Tell me, I don't like this, don't do this. And, you know, I want all the feedback so I can keep giving you more of what you would like to see. So thanks for listening to me ramble on. Next time, I promise more knitting. See you then. wanted to read you the second paragraph. The popular medium of the postcard played a key role in transforming the image of New York as an international capital. At the turn of the 20th century, postcards emerged as a cutting-edge communications technology and a marker of modernity, much like social media today. Billions of postcards circulated annually around the globe, and countless more were cherished in personal albums, bringing art collecting into the middle-class home. In the Art Deco era, postcards remained a thriving industry and one of the fastest ways to circulate messages and images. Inventive postcard publishers issued colorful, mass-produced designs that echoed the dazzling modernity of Art Deco New York. In stark contrast with the economic hardship and political turmoil that defined the 1930s, postcards used the glamour of Art Deco to sell New York to the world. Innovative printing methods, from metallic inks to highly saturated colors, made the city on postcards more exciting and vibrant than a black and white photograph could. No place dazzled more than Times Square, the heart of New York itself, as a postcard here claims. Postcards reveled in the visual dynamism of the new animated neon signs of the Art Deco decades. Whether advertising soda or gum, these colorful electric wonders were engineering feats. The backs of the cards enumerated their astounding construction materials, including tens of thousands of light bulbs, as well as miles of neon tubing and insulated wiring.
This is New York. to take you out to dinner, we could go out to a movie or something.
Okay. Okay. Listen, are we making a movie or are we not? No.
And this is a story of a number of people, and a story also of the city itself.
There it is, Blum, the most exciting city in the world. Thrills, adventure, romance. Everything you ever dreamed of is down there.
Look at all those people out there. Lots of people. People don't come here to sleep.
Anything up in this closet?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Cat Club.
This is one of the highlights of being at the Met. You can see the little snowflake chandeliers ascend.